O great Sephiroth, our master. I had a dream. To me, who had lost all sense of time, the dream felt like it lasted forever. Or was it just for a moment? There was no light. I couldn't see anything. I could only hear a pleasant, steady pulse, like an unborn child floating in the amniotic fluid, wrapped up in a calming and safe warmth. It felt as if all my sins had been forgiven. All the anxiety and horror within me melted and slowly diffused into the amniotic fluid, disappearing without a trace. I let my body go with the flow as it drowned in the ever-present warmth and lost myself in ecstasy. Here it felt like I was the only absolute and all-powerful existence. I was at the center of the universe. I didn't want to think about anything else anymore. I just wanted to stay like this forever. I didn't care if it was just a dream, even if it was just a tranquil illusion. It was one which I preferred to that horrible reality. But a dream will never be more than just a dream, which one must eventually awake from. And without any warning, the moment of awakening came violently. Liberation of self. I was forcibly dragged back into reality, bursting out of the empty space, without enough time to give even a baby's first cry. I was born into a new world. Where is this? In front of me was a small square glass window. The open palm of my right hand was pressed tight against the glass. I lowered my palm from the window. A palm print remained clearly visible on its cloudy white surface. I wiped it off with my sleeve and a familiar image appeared. Me. It's me. I felt dazed. My head was cloudy. However, I could clearly understand that the image reflected in the window pane was my own. It's the same face that I've had for 20 years now. There's no way I could be mistaken. As soon as I realized that, the haze in my head immediately disappeared. I looked down, checked my clothes, looked at my palms, and stared at the backs of my hands for a few moments. The fingers of both my hands traced the contours of my face, felt the texture of my skin, and ran through my hair, checking its length on their way through. It sprang up and down. There were dull pains on my neck and hip, but it wasn't all that bad compared to the pain I'd felt before. I stretched my arms out as wide as I can. I take a series of deep breaths and start speaking out loud. I see, so it was all a dream. Even though it was just a dream, I somehow felt really happy to be back in my own body again. I cast another glance at my reflection, then turned my head. Before me were the figures of an unfamiliar man and a woman. The words I had blurted in surprise hung in the silent air. I suddenly felt very awkward and gave a slight shrug. The source of the awkwardness was the words that had come out my mouth earlier. I didn't stop to think that I might not be the only person in the room. Mumbling these meaningless words, I tried fruitlessly to retrieve the tension of the moment, while at the same time attempting to analyze the situation I found myself in. First of all, where was I? As I took a look around, I could see that everything including the roof, the floor, and the walls were made out of wood. From where I stood, I could see a double bunk bed at the right and a doorway to the left. Near the wall across the room stood a wooden table along with a few simple chairs made from chopped logs. By the wall beside me was a rustic stove made out of old oil barrels. I could hear a crackling sound, most probably produced by the red-hot logs burning inside the stove. Cumulus clouds of white steam rose from the tin kettle placed upon the stove. Considering how large the double bunk bed was, the floor of the room would have probably fit 12 tatami mats. It may have actually been one tatami larger, but the window embedded in the wall was so tiny it made the room feel rather cramped. A mountain hut? I couldn't think of any other possibilities. Oh, sorry, the camera's on an angle, it's tripping me up. I looked out the window to make sure. There was only featureless, depthless darkness spread out as far as the eye could see. There wasn't anything that could provide me with a clue. It wasn't that I couldn't see anything. Snow. My eyes were searching the scenery for more clues. But all I could see was the powdery snow dancing violently in the frozen darkness like peppers grass in the wind. Crystals of ice decorated the edges of the window. These scant clues didn't give me any idea of where we were, but this was definitely no southern island in paradise. Then it hit me. Cold. And it wasn't just your average cold. My body was freezing to its core enough to make me want to hug the barrel stove beside me. Hey, what's wrong? The voice made me turn around. The man looked worried as he watched over me.
You alright?
I'm alright wasn't something I could honestly say. Being suddenly seized by the freezing cold with two completely unfamiliar people in front of me. Just who were these people? The man in front of me wore a hooded jacket, and the camera zoomed in just to prove it. His short trimmed hair had casually fallen into disorder. There was a sparse moment of stubble growing around his mouth and chin, and his prominent cheekbones gave him a dauntless appearance. His body was in good shape. His figure was trim. That being said, by no means was he thin. The muscles on his shoulders and chest were toned to the degree that their contours were visible through his clothes. If anyone asked me, I'd have to say that he had an extremely manly, strong body. In contrast to this air of strength that his body gave off, his eyes seemed to be doing a poor job of hiding his overwhelmed sadness. The woman was crouching in front of the stove, wrapped up in many layers of blankets. Like an empress in her robes, her hands grasped a steel cup. Her eyes were not on me, but staring aimlessly at the contents of the cup. However, it didn't seem as if she was avoiding eye contact intentionally. Her garments were covered by the blanket, so I couldn't tell what she was wearing underneath. I could only see her dark brown high heels. The shoes weren't well suited for a place like this, and her shoes weren't all that looked out of place. The woman with her hair in an updo gave off an air of calm sophistication. Would it be an exaggeration to say she was from high society? Surrounded by the drum stove, the tin kettle, and the assorted timber, her appearance was particularly conspicuous. The man looked as if he was in mid-30s, while the woman appeared to be in her late 20s. Of course, this was just an estimate. They could have been younger. Anyway, I thought it was clear that both of them were older than me. First off, I'll talk to the man. Try talking to the man. Excuse me. Where are we? Where are we?
On a mountain. Seriously, it's this cold. Could we be anywhere else?
Mountain?
Yes, a snowy mountain in midwinter.
He answered somewhat casually. There should be more to it than that, right?
Yeah, you're right. This might be the Toku region.
He stroked his stubble. I had held myself tighter as I trembled from the cold and meekly stepped towards the stove. Could it be that you don't know? You don't know where we are?
You're right, I don't know. I was hoping you'd be able to tell me.
What do you mean by that? There's no way I could possibly figure out where we were. I just waited for him to go on.
More importantly, are you alright?
What do you mean?
No, how should I say this? What I'm about to say may be a bit rude. But you...
He raised one of his eyebrows, drawing my eye momentarily before continuing.
You're acting kinda strange.
Eh?
Don't be mad, okay? A while ago, you were saying all these kinds of weird things. All of a sudden, you started spouting nonsense, acting violently, screaming, and pausing for a long time while speaking. And now you're all gentle and everything.
What?
Well, with shock from what happened, it wouldn't be surprising if it suffered a decent amount of mental damage, but...
A shock?
Yeah, from the airplane crash.
Crash? Did I already forget what had happened up till now? Reality and dreams were completely mixed up in my head as I tried hard to make sense of things. So that means the building and the people I saw before must have been all part of a dream. Oh my god. Is this the guy in the girl's body? Then what was that starting scene? He said how it's like, oh yeah, it's my face. Or was that something else? I don't understand. Maybe that was the point of them changing? Maybe that was the girl talking and then they switched? I don't know. So that means the building and the people I saw before must have been all part of a dream. Then the crash, what happened to the other passengers? Was Uni safe? No, this is definitely Cocoro. Although I couldn't be sure and felt a tinge of uneasiness for some reason, I wasn't really all that worried. Though I was still in a rather strange state of mind. I was definitely much calmer than me in that dream. Though then again, just because he mentions Uni doesn't mean he's Cocoro. She's Cocoro, it could be a guy. Because Cocoro's in the guy's body and the guy is at a place with Uni, meaning the guy probably knows Uni if he was in that house, or at least brought there. So, then again, Uni didn't recognize him. And Uni got really, really angry when Cocoro spoke to Uni. So obviously Uni doesn't know the guy Satoru. So, yeah, this is probably Cocoro talking. So this is maybe before they switched? So, like, they go in the crash, and now this is after the crash, but they haven't switched bodies yet, maybe? There was a mysterious feeling of confidence in me, a feeling that Uni was definitely alive somewhere.
Oh, it's as I thought. You don't remember the crash, do you?
No, I don't think that's it. I remember it, everything. I replied immediately. Surprised, he tilted his head.
You do remember, really?
Yes.
But earlier you... Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Anyway, have a seat.
Oh. Oh. Maybe they keep switching? So, like, for example, the crash happens, and the guy gets pushed down, they switch. When they're switched, they go through other things, and then maybe something happens to both of them to cause them to switch again, and this just keeps on happening and happening. So this could be like the third act. The first act being when Cocoro goes on the plane, the second act being when she switched bodies with Satoru's in the house, and the third act being now, where she's returned to her body. Maybe, because when she noticed herself in the mirror, she blacked out. So maybe her blacking out caused her to switch bodies again. Maybe.
Oh, right, I was going to read this. Anyway, have a seat. Do you want me to get you something warm to drink?
He went over to the table and picked up a steel cup. With one hand, he gestured for me to take a seat. I passed behind the woman who was wrapped up in the blankets and sat down at the table with my back to the wall. What exactly did you mean?
What did it mean about what?
The man stood near the stove. He grabbed the tin kettle and poured some hot water into the cup. You said I was acting oddly, didn't you?
Yeah, I said that. It's the truth after all.
That's not quite what I mean. I'd like to know if there was any reason for it.
A reason, huh? I can try to explain, but first of all, drink up.
He placed the cup in front of me, took a peek inside the cup, and saw a reddish-orange liquid swaying easily within. What is this?
It's chamomile tea.
Chamomile?
Chamomile tea. I found it down in the storeroom, though, so I can't guarantee it will be fresh.
He glanced briefly at the corner of the room. There was an open rectangular latch. The hole was right next to the door. There was a ladder there. I couldn't see inside from here, but that was most likely the storeroom right below us.
Chamomile has a tranquilizing effect.
I see, so in other words, it would calm me down.
Well, something like that.
I wasn't particularly agitated or excited or anything, but it was true that my throat was dry, so there was no reason to refuse the offer. Just as he had suggested, I brought the cup to my lips. Hut! Also, I like how it tells me how far into the scene I am, so I'm 68% in. And due to all the scenes I've done so far, I'm 3% in. So that's counting all the scenes, all the choices and stuff, and I like that. But, it's good. A refreshingly gentle aroma similar to that of green apple tickled my nose. The hot liquid made its way down my throat, gently warming me to the core of my body. I'm alive again would be the expression that described the way I felt best.
That's good.
Huh?
That smile of yours. It's the first time I've seen you smile.
Now that he mentions it, my face did feel like it was smiling. It was a little embarrassing. The steam rising from my cup slipped into my nose as I started talking. Now that I think about it, you still haven't told me your name, have you?
Name?
Yeah, your name. He sat down at the table across from me.
Oh man, here we go again. Didn't I tell you my name just now?
Just now? Yeah, this is definitely them after they've switched back. Just now? Just now? When exactly was just now? I have no idea.
I guess it wouldn't be impossible for you to forget. You did seem pretty upset.
I didn't know what he meant by that. What in the world was he talking about? As I struggled to wrap my head around what he had said, the man reached into his jacket pocket and took out a pack of cigarettes, along with a silver lighter. He tapped a cigarette out of the pack and placed it into his mouth. He handed the lighter incredibly naturally, snapping it open with ease. After the crisp metallic sound faded, a red flame softly flickered into being.
Yeah.
Carrying the flame close to the tip of the cigarette. He exhaled in a puff of purple smoke.
Your Yomogi Seiji. Nice to meet you.
He placed a cigarette in his left hand and extended the other to me in greeting. I gladly shook it. His palm was so thick and rugged, it was as if it was made of rock. And then... what? Suddenly a loud noise. Acting on instinct, I pulled my hand back defensively.
Hey, what happened? Are you alright?
The man who had introduced himself as Yomogi shouted into the corner of the room. There in the corner was the square hole I had just seen a few moments ago. Yeah, I'm alright. My hand just slipped a little, that's all. This is going to be Uni or something? A voice could be heard coming from inside the hole, a familiar voice. It couldn't be. I shut up from my seat.
What's the matter? Are you having another one of your episodes?
I didn't have any time to answer. Before I could even think, my body had sprung into action. Clinging to the ladder, I glided down along it and descended to the basement. Youth personality development. Uni! Yep. My premonition had been right, as I thought Uni was alive. He looked at me vacantly. Dozens of logs from the stove were scattered at his feet. Dozens of logs from the stove were scattered at his feet.
What's wrong?
He asked with a surprisingly calm face. I slowly moved towards him. I stopped in front of him. Standing stiff as a rod, he looked up at me.
Cocoro. Are you Cocoro?
His pupils widened as he blinked, muttering those words. Uni.
You remembered me?
Of course I do. There's no way I could forget. Filled with joy, when Satoru switched with us, I bet he said he didn't recognize him, right? Yeah. Filled with joy, I embraced him entirely without a second thought.
Wait.
You might break like this. Saying that, Uni slowly removed his glasses. He placed his glasses on the shelf and then...
Cocoro! Give me a hug!
Suddenly, with a voice as lively as a girl's...
Yeah, this definitely sounds like a girl's.
He leapt into my arms. Oh my god, that's adorable.
I missed you. I missed you so much, Cocoro.
Uni aimlessly groped my back. He rubbed his face against me, snuffling like a spoiled child. I crowded him closely in return. With all the strength in my arms, I squeezed him tighter and tighter. This is the second time I've been reunited with the boy. But unlike the Uni from my dream, this one wasn't cold-hearted at all. I don't think that was a dream. Uni had recognized me as myself. He greeted me as myself and confirmed me as myself. Just that was enough to make me feel happy.
Cocoro, I have something that I need to say.
What is it?
Thank you for saving me.
Oh, you don't have to thank me. I didn't do anything at all. Yes, I couldn't do anything at that time. I had only fastened his seatbelt and taken his hand in mine. If there was anyone to thank for our rescue, it could only be God. Rather than fate, it seemed more appropriate to call this a miracle from God.
But still, thank you.
I clung to Uni's body as though I'd never let him go. I put his head under my nose and filled my lungs with his scent. We're alive. The smell of his hair, the burning warmth of his skin. Alive, alive. Over and over again I repeated in my mind. I trembled in joy as I stood witness to this miracle. After a while I realized that my cheeks were wet. The small drops clinging to my lips were warmer than the chamomile tea I had just drunk. We stayed in our embrace for quite a while. For quite a while, long enough to lose track of time. Ah, goddammit, I did it again. Right then, my mind was completely void of the memories from my strange dream, with its grotesque script and finely detailed scenery. But still, there was one thing that bothered me. What Uni had said bothered me. I wanted to know why Uni was here. Yeah, what Uni had said bothered me. He said that this time I recognize, or something like that, along those lines. This time you recognize me.
I missed you. I missed you, Cocoro.
The words that had come from Uni's lips, it was as though something felt out of place. A suspicious feeling of dissatisfaction stirred my mind. But even so, something as trifling as that didn't matter much now. With the end of the hug nowhere in sight, the little doubt that had sprouted in the corner of my mind slowly faded away. I had forgotten everything, becoming intoxicated with his warmth as I continued to soak in the happiness of our reunion. What? I'm left-handed. When I use a pen, chopsticks, or scissors... I just wanted to go back and see. It's not letting me do it. It's just making this noise whenever I try. That's why I wear my watch on my non-dominant right wrist. That's because if I wore it on my left wrist, it would interfere with a variety of things. Of course, it's on my right wrist even now. It was a wristwatch I'd fancied. I'm left-handed. When I use a pen, chopsticks, or scissors, I always hold in my left hand. It was a wristwatch I'd fancied and brought just the other day. The animus within the anima. 9:37 p.m. The inside of the room was enveloped by the sad cry of the wind wailing outside. Other than that, besides the lid of the kettle rattling, not a sound could be heard. Not a single person opened their mouth. The heavy silence persisted. The cup placed in front of me was already empty. The chamomile tea had truly warmed my body and calmed my heart. I've also gotten used to the feeling of sitting on hard wooden logs. I pulled my back up against the wall and observed with the others. Uni was sitting on the bunk bed, dangling his legs. His face showed boredom, but even like this, he was far more energetic than Uni from my dream. Yomagi had fixed his gaze on the window, observing the conditions outside. Smoke was slowly rising from the cigarette he held leisurely between his middle and index finger. The woman who was wrapped up in numerous blankets hadn't moved an inch from a spot. In front of the stove. She flicked a stray lock of hair behind her ear. There was a lovely elegance to her actions, which, even though I was a woman, drew my ears with its courteous charm. Damn it! Even after being thrown here in such a disordered state, she still took great care of keeping herself proper, from the angle of her fingertips to the tilt of her neck. There were 4 of us inside the cabin, including myself. There was also one thing that all 4 of us had in common, and that was that we were all unhurt. Of course, we could probably easily find 1 or 2 scratches or bruises on our bodies. However, no one had any serious injuries. Our burns were fine, and all our insides seemed to be in place. It's not like I asked anyone directly, but that much was obvious from just observing the people around me. I don't remember a single thing about the crash, but I do know that shock from it had been tremendous. Yet here we are, alive and well. I know Uni and Cocoro were in the crash, but what about the other 2? As I thought about it all, I couldn't help but think of the word miracle as well. Miracle? What, I wonder? It was all that we were alive here like this. The room didn't have any electric lighting, or only the light of the lantern seemed to illuminate the hopeless air around us. The flame within it wavered, causing the shadows in the room to dance and sway along with it. Somehow, it was a very illusory scene. Enchanted by the dubious flicker of the flame, I began to lose sight of the boundary between reality and fantasy. If this silence continued, it felt like I would once again be consumed by the bizarre dream world. Anyway, it doesn't matter what it is, so somebody say something. So resolved, I decided to first. I'm curious in the woman wrapped in blankets. I tried speaking with the woman wrapped up in blankets. Silence. Can you hear me? There was no reason she would be able to hear me. I was simply being ignored again. She had been so thoroughly ignoring me that it began to feel as if she was doing it out of some sort of hostility towards me. Did I do something to leave her with a bad impression of me, maybe? No, I don't remember doing anything like that. I just met her recently and we hadn't even exchanged a single word. That's assuming that when we were Satoru, or Satoru was in Kuriko's body, we didn't say something. Like, maybe he said something to her and she's pissed off at us or something. Because, yeah. Or was it possible that she was just that kind of person to begin with? It might be that she wasn't really a people person or something like that. With nothing else to do, I started talking to Yomagi. Hey, Yomagi-san. The 4 of us are here the only ones, right? Yeah, I think so. Why do you ask? Then, the other passengers. Yomagi looked out the window and took a long drag on his cigarette. Slowly letting the smoke out, he wipes the white cloudy window. That's right. Now that you mention it, I've yet to speak with you about it. Yukidoh-san. Wait. Wasn't that Satoru's last name? Did I hear him wrong? An unfamiliar name suddenly enters my ears. Yomagi left the window and made his way to the center of the room. He took a square box from the shelf beside my bed.
You want some more tea? This might take a while.
He prepared the chamomile tea while holding his cigarette between his lips. He put out his cigarette in the ashtray sitting on the table, and then sat down in front of me. What?
Well then, where should I start? How far back can you remember, Yukidoh-san? I'm pretty sure I can recall you saying I remember everything about the crash.
Again he uses a name I've never heard before.
What's wrong? Why are you frowning like that?
I straightened my posture and began to talk, looking intently at him. Before we get into that, can I ask you something?
What is it?
Who's this Yukidoh?
Who you say? But that's your name.
I was astonished. Sighing deeply, I could feel myself starting to shake. Why? Why were things like this happening one after another? I can't exactly say why I was angry, but there was no way I was just going to bite my tongue. I raised my voice in protest. My name is Fuyukawa Cocoro, okay? Really, I wonder how many times I would have to repeat myself like that. I'm tired of it already. Although the other times I said that phrase was in a dream.
Fuyukawa Cocoro?
That's right, Fuyukawa Cocoro. I'm not DID, that's someone else, but I guess we split bodies, and now I'm Fuyukawa and Cocoro. I'm kidding, sorry, Danganronpa references. Should I show you my student ID card, or would my driver's license please you better? For that matter, how about we go down to the local ward office right now so you can see an official copy of my family registry?
No, sorry.
Seems I've somehow made you angry. But originally, the one who brought up the name Yukidoh was you, so... Murky hesitated to speak. His gaze wavered around the room as he rubbed the stumble on his chin.
Oh, whatever. It's probably true if you say so.
Not probably, it is true.
Fine, I get it already. Your name is Fuyukawa Cocoro, right?
Yes, I clearly asserted. And then... Just wait a second. The woman who had persistently preserved her silence until now finally opens her mouth. Throwing off her blanket, she delicately stands up and walks purposely towards me. Just what is your deal? She slams both her hands on the table. Bending forward, she brings her face up to mine. Her entire body gives off a ghostly aura, filling me with dread. My name is Fuyukawa Cocoro. Then why did you say it was Yukidoh before? I don't know what she's angry about, but the dreadful expression on her face leaves me unable to reply. Answer me, just what are you plotting? Is this the girl that's... No, she doesn't have, she had more dark skin. Plotting? No, this was a word I remember hearing. Somehow it feels almost like a reenactment of a dream. Saying I'm Fuyukawa Cocoro and having somebody get angry about that, it did resemble a dream. Then was that dream supposed to be some kind of premonition? Hey, you listening? I'm talking to you. No, I'm listening, really. But your attitude sure has changed from before, hasn't it? Before. When they're saying before, what do these people mean? I'll ask you one more time. Why did you say something stupid? Something so stupid? Don't pretend like you don't know. Obviously, when you were trying to trick us by saying you were Yukidoh Satoru. Just who is that person? Stop with the lousy act already. Act? Even though I'm not acting.
No, calm down, Maizumi.
Maizumi?
You're scaring Fuyukawa-san.
What did you just say? Maizumi? You just called me Maizumi, didn't you? Stop addressing me as if I were your pal. Just who do you think you are?
Well then, what should I call you? Lin-chan, maybe?
You're making fun of me, you unshaven old bastard. Being referred to me with Chan is the only thing I hate most in this world.
Then what's the thing you hate second most?
People I don't know calling me by my last name with no honorifics of all.
And what would number 3 be?
Number 3 is, let's see, being called by the wrong name, maybe. Why is she actually going along with these questions? Like being called Zuzu instead of Lin, or maybe being called Kaori instead of Maizumi. Now that you mention it, one time I got direct mail address to someone named Tombi written the same as Black Kite. Why did it arrive at my house? I wish people wouldn't suddenly decide that I'm some bird of prey.
Did you hear that?
Wait, what? Who's speaking?
Oh, it's Uni. Did you hear that? Tombi, she said. It'd sure suit you to be reborn as a falcon, wouldn't it?
Shut up, Brad. Brats like you should just get lost, Brad.
Whoa, what's wrong with you? I was just joking around.
What, get a problem? This is why Granny's up trouble. Uni probably got angry, as he deliberately muttered the phrase at a volume just loud enough for it to be heard. Granny? Where'd you get up calling a lovely young maiden of 23 a granny? A granny? I called you a granny because you're...
I called you a granny because you're a granny, you senile old hag.
You bastard!
Look, you got crow's feet all around your eyes, don't you, Toby-chan?
You damn brat, you wanna go, huh? Do you?
As if. Who'd want to start a fight with an old lady like you?
I know you've done it! I wonder if I should just roll you up in a mat and throw you outside.
Try it if you can, you persimmon gobbling old hag.
You've got it, you four-eyed
Come on, cut it out, you two.
Yomogi, sick of watching the back and forth, decided to interfere and push the two apart.
You haven't forgotten where you are, right? What are you gonna do if you waste all your strength on a pointless squabble like this?
But...
No buts. If you carry on with this nonsense, you'll be sleeping in the storeroom, are you clear?
Yomogi lectured them in a surprisingly dignified tone. The two exchanged sharp glares but restrained themselves from taking any further action. Even those two couldn't do anything with Yomogi standing like a mountain between them. Neither really backing down, Uni and the woman both looked away and returned to their respective territories.
Really now?
Yomogi sighed as he placed his hand on his hip. Before we knew it, we had lost track of our conversation and the target of the woman's anger had completely changed. I was certainly glad to have gotten out of further questioning, but anyway, I was able to at least establish the woman's name. Meizumi-Lin. Like a cat about to flee after a fight, she opened her mouth to let out a last parting complaint. Personality was almost the complete opposite of what I had imagined. It would be based on her mature looks and graceful bearing. The image of her out in my mind just a few moments earlier had been thoroughly revised. The woman had a rude, harsh, and uninhibited personality. By the way, Meizumi's questioning, though it had been brief, had implanted a lingering feeling of uneasiness in the corner of my mind. It's about Yukidoh Satoru. Why was I mistaken for this Yukidoh person, whom I've never met before and know nothing about? First of all, just who is Yukidoh Satoru? That and the words both Yomogi and Meizumi had said bothered me. A while ago you were saying
all these kinds of weird things.
Then why did you say it was Yukidoh before?
Didn't I tell you my name just now?
You already sure has changed. Before. Playing it all in my head, I finally arrived at the answer. Based on what they had said, only one conclusion could be reached, or somehow that just wasn't possible. I denied my own thoughts immediately. It was something that I couldn't believe, that I didn't want to believe. The conclusion I'd reached was simply too unreal to accept. That's why I turned away from it. I didn't want to think about it any further. I am me, Fuyukawa Cocoro. I'm no one else but me. Struggling to express my wild thoughts, I tried to convince myself of this. The inescapable reality. 10:03. It was around 10 PM. A large heap of blankets in hand, Meizumi climbed up onto the top bunk. Now there was a woman lying with her back towards us in more ways than one. The kind of person that would stay in bed just to show everyone how much she detested their company. I wasn't sure if she was really sleeping or not, she may have just had her eyes closed. In any case, without so much as a sorry or good night, the woman shut herself away in her own little world. Naturally, there wasn't anyone who bothered to ask her what she was up to. To tell the truth, I myself was a little relieved the troublesome one had decided to settle down.
Well then, shall we begin?
As if prudently choosing his timing, Yomogi quietly opened his mouth.
There's something I'd like to say before I begin. Please don't lose heart. There's still hope.
He carefully chose these words, as he continued solemnly. What?
Flight Hell 18. That was the name of the small passenger aircraft we boarded. The plane was carrying a total of 31 passengers and crew members of a non-stop journey to Wakkanai, one of a chain of islands in the north of Japan. If flight conditions were favorable, we should have arrived at the airport at 5 PM. But...
January 11, 2011, 4 or 8 PM. Flight Hell 8 crashed deep in the snowy mountains. I, who had regained consciousness after being thrown out of the plane, began my search and rescue efforts for survivors. The snowstorm was raging all around. I'm guessing this is Yamagi talking. Sunset was drawing near and I could barely see past my nose. Still, I didn't give up. The fact that I was alright meant that there had to be other survivors as well, I thought. It was not a thought of obligation or a sense of justice, which kept me going. I was spurred on by some unexplainable instinct. Before long, I found 2 women among the scattered rubble. Mayuzumi Lin and you. Having lost consciousness from the shock of the crash, you were laying beneath the caved-in ceiling, your head hanging limp. Even when I shook you by the shoulders and slapped your cheeks, you showed no sign of coming to. Mayuzumi, on the other hand, was conscious. She'd stood up on her own, mumbling something deliriously, and started aimlessly walking into the downpour of snow on her unsteady feet. The girl had most likely lost some of her sanity to the shock of her crash. Even when I called for her to stop, my voice didn't seem to reach her ears. Somehow I was able to catch her, and my very next thought was that I should find some shelter from the wind. What I found was a section of the airframe severed at the front and the back. The outer wall, burnt black, unhappily exposed from the framework. It resembled the decaying corpse of a monster. Pulling Mayuzumi by the hand and carrying her over my shoulders, I entered the carcass seeking refuge. Instead of foul stench filled the air. I suddenly realized the smell was that of burning meat. There were chunks of charred flesh stuck firmly to the seats which had been fixed to the floor. Dead bodies were still seated with their heads against the backs of the seats in front of them. Some of their bodies were missing everything from the seatbelt down. There were bloodstains, scraps of flesh, and trails splattered across the windows. There was one corpse that seemed uncomparatively unharmed, but it stayed motionless, frozen solid like a plaster sculpture. The only word that could describe the disastrous scene was hell. Having taken it all in, Mayuzumi looked absent-minded and dazed. You were still unconscious, so you didn't react at all. However, a single sigh escaped your lips, which made me believe you'd surely get better in time. Your body temperature, however, was nearly that of a corpse. That made sense. You were wearing the same clothes you boarded the plane in. Of course, you weren't the only one with this problem. Mayuzumi was the same. She was wearing a suit and high heels, and her legs were only covered with a thin pair of stockings. Left like that, the 2 of you would have surely died. With this in mind, I looked around the smelted baggage compartments in the ceiling of the plane in hopes of finding something useful among the luggage. I grabbed the bags that looked like they might have something helpful inside, and pulled them down. I found a down jacket and a fur coat, a wool sweater and a muffler and some gloves. I got together as many clothes like that I could find and dressed you 2 in them. By the time I finished, the sun had disappeared behind the horizon. With the light from the moon and the stars eaten up in the clouds, by the clouds and the snow, and near perfect darkness enveloped us. I found a flashlight near the flight attendant's seat. I turned it on and a streak of light pierced the darkness. There were only 2 things to be done next. First, I had to make a shelter by closing off the open ends of the shorn of the airframe. Second, I had to find some means of communications to send out a distress signal. I didn't spare a thought for anything else. There might have been people still alive somewhere in the snowfield. However, the small pieces of wreckage had been scattered over a large area, which would have made further searching nearly impossible. And what about making our way down the mountain? In this state of affairs, that took precedence over anything else. As a mountaineer, I know how terrifying and treacherous the snowy mountains could be. To start marching randomly inside a snowstorm is reckless at best. I didn't have a clue as to where we were. I didn't even know which way it was to the base, so I couldn't even think about descending into the mountain. Our option was very limited. We spent all night in bivouac, with nothing else to do but wait for the weather conditions to improve. If they got better, a military or a rescue helicopter would have no trouble finding us. Of course, that'd be pointless if the 3 of us lost our lives before they arrived. That's why, to live, that was the highest priority for us. I immediately got to work. I used the gathered up luggage and blinkers to use such to stuff up the gaping holes in the airframe. The day had come to an end and the temperature started falling. It felt like it would soon get so cold that your breath would freeze instantly. I had lost all feeling on my fingers, yet I continued working silently. However, as I was covering up one of the holes, I noticed something. Mayuzumi was gone. No matter where I looked, she was nowhere to be seen. I rushed outside. Thick snowflakes began to fall and cling to me in layers, as if they had been eagerly waiting for the chance. I bent double to avoid this attack, pulling my hood close over my eyes, and began searching the darkness. The pile-up snow beneath my feet was immeasurably deep, but thanks to that I could see the trail broken by Meizumi's rustling through. With the torch in hand, I turned to find more traces. I could barely see a thing. In the middle of a snowstorm at night, the light of a pocket flashlight was almost useless. If I tried calling out on the top of my lungs, the roaring of the wind would effortlessly drown out my voice. I couldn't waste another moment if I wanted to find her, as the traces that she left behind were quickly being filled with snow. I jumped into the snow. My body began to move without a second thought. I rushed on, parting the fallen snow before me, blinded by a myriad of snowflakes. I single-mindedly continued to pursue her trail. After marching on for about 10 minutes, I finally caught a glimpse of her. She collapsed face down in the middle of a large snowfield. I had no idea why she would do something so foolish. Losing her cool and giving into panic, she may have thought it doesn't matter where I go, I just need to get out or get away. Anyway, she made her way here and probably collapsed from exhaustion. For all my ear-closed door mouth, I could hear her breathing just barely. Quickly put her on my back and started making my way along the path I had made coming here.
Even if it was only the body of a single light woman, trying to rustle through while carrying a person on my back was unthinkably difficult. Our path was hindered by the now hip-deep snow. It had become virtually impossible to take another step forward, and when we stood still, the snow blowing up at us from the ground was mercilessly robbing us of our body heat. My limbs had become completely numb. My fingertips, if I could feel them, would probably feel like pieces of thick, solid wire. We pushed on and on, but the surrounding landscape didn't show any signs of change. No matter where we went, the darkness spread endlessly through the space around us like a curse. Before long, I lost sight of my path. The markers I had left behind had become buried of the snow and were indiscernible. My legs had become completely stuck. I couldn't take a single step forward. So this is it.
I knelt down in the snow. I knew that this would happen from the moment I set out. If you walk out into the snowstorm, then it's only natural for you to lose your way. But even then, I never once thought I was turning back. Why is that? It might have been that bringing Meizumi was just an excuse, when in reality I wanted to meet my end here.
It's too late, too late.
No matter where I looked, the desolate barren plain was dyed the color of death. This world ruled by despair and emptiness was rejecting my life, and the act of breathing was regarded by it as a sin. The sharp pain running through my entire body was a sure testament of that. With Meizumi... Something. Meizumi still on my back and collapsed into the middle of the snowfield.
Sorry for the long wait. Now I can finally join you.
Dad. Right then I thought I heard a voice. A voice I'd heard so often, but now thought I'd never hear it again. I knew it had to be an illusion. Faced with death, my consciousness was breaking down. It felt like it was a voice of spirit come to haunt me. However, I couldn't help but try to confirm it. Having gathered the remainder of my strength, I strained my throat and raised my nearly frozen body to its unsteady feet.
Junichi, is that you?
Dad, here! There's a mountain cabin here, I found it! When I stepped out of it, I saw a boy standing in front of me. It was the boy I happened to catch a glimpse of on the plain.
Follow me!
Saying this, the boy started walking. I gave my head a good shake, which somehow brought my strained consciousness back into focus. The boy wasn't my son. That's how I was sure it wasn't just my delusion of some mysterious phantom, but a definite, real entity with a solid shape and form.
What are you standing around for? The mountain cabin is right over here. Hurry up!
I once again lifted Meizumi into my shoulders. With the boy in front of me as a guide, I started walking forward. And then... "7:16 p.m. 3 hours after the crash, we had finally reached his mountain cabin. It goes without saying that the boy who guided us here was Uni.
If Uni hadn't come here, then, right about now, Maizumi and I would probably be peacefully enjoying our final sleep under the snow. You could certainly say that Uni was our savior. It's unfortunate that Maizumi, being unconscious at the time, still doesn't seem to understand this. So that's pretty much everything that happened until now. Did you get all that?
He didn't say anything about me, though. Like, how did I get here? He said we were unconscious. Meaning, we weren't troubled by the look of what was on the plane. But he doesn't say anything about how we got to the cabin. That's interesting. With those words, Yomergi tried to finish up his long speech. But, wait a second.
Huh?
What about me? What happened to me after you left me there? Wanting me to tie up all the loose ends, I asked him again. Yomergi smiled ever so slightly.
Of course, we went back for you. Uni gave me a hand as well. We brought you back here from a shorn, open airframe. Honestly speaking, it wasn't easy. I may seem pretty energetic now, but back then I was on the verge of collapsing myself.
Back then, how did you find the hole? But then, how did you find the hole?
You said
you got lost, didn't you?
Uni knew the way.
Uni did?
I turned towards Uni.
Behind Yomergi, Uni was sitting in the spot where Maizumi had been camped out until shortly before. And his back is to me. As his back is to me, I can't see his face. I didn't know whether or not he'd been listening to our conversation earlier. How did Uni know where the airframe was?
He had a compass on him.
The compass is in the magnet that he used to tell direction?
Yeah. Uni, who'd been thrown out of the plane, immediately started walking in a straight line, away from the crash site using his compass. I thought it was a good sound judgment, all things considered. Seeing as how there was no place that could have sheltered him from the wind, and it wasn't a situation where help would arrive if he stayed still and waited. That's why he began walking. Of course, he didn't just wander around. Properly confirmed the position of his destination and the number of steps he started walking in the snowstorm. If he found nothing in the direction he was heading, he could simply go back to where he started. He sure is something. His judgment isn't like that of an 11-year-old at all. Beauty showed admirable composure, even more than that of a seasoned mountaineer like me.
A weird feeling of suspicion, perhaps, started welling up inside me. I found myself unable to blindly admire Uni's efforts. Things like Uni conveniently having a compass and not losing his cool after the shock of a crash. Put it all together, you couldn't help but think there was something unusual going on.
Well anyway, searching around like that, Uni coincidentally discovered the shelter cabin. What's important is that he remembered the direction that he walked in, along with the number of steps he took to arrive here. And that's why
You were able to find the crash site where I'd left behind, is that it?
Something bothering you?
No, not really. I mean, the fact that you said before we're all acting strange, but I guess we're not asking that yet. I said that, but in reality, innumerable things were still bothering me. In today's conversation, nobody had mentioned even once how Uni had managed to find Yomergi and Maizumi. Moreover, even if it were possible for Uni to return to his own starting point, that didn't necessarily mean that I was easy to find again amongst the snow. Looking at the probability of all these occurrences, it seems like even the word miracle would be an underestimate to describe all that had happened. It felt like a work of some invisible power, like we might have been led to this cabin inevitably. An invisible power? What it could be, I have no idea.
I see.
I see. I murmured as I brought the cup close to my lips. The chamomile tea inside had become cold now. That's right. I forgot to say something important, didn't I? Once it hit me, I lowered my head. Wiping my lips and correcting my posture, I spoke. Thank you.
Huh?
For showing my gratitude. Thank you very much for saving me.
Hey, cut it out. No good with heartfelt thanks and stuff.
Yeah, right.
Besides, if you want to express your gratitude, shouldn't it be to him?
Yomergi stuck out his thumb and pointed it towards Uni, who was sitting behind him. Oh, whoops. I keep on clicking that accidentally because my fingers are very, like, trigger-happy kind of thing. They're always pressing. So, I stood up and went close to Uni. Uni had curled up in a ball in front of the stove. The way he held his head made it difficult for me to see his face. I squatted down beside him and spoke. Uni? Uni? Uni didn't reply. Leaning down, I lightly shook him by the shoulder. I took a peek at his face. Crouched in place, Uni was breathing evenly in his sleep. Thank you, Uni. I said in a soft voice. In reality, it felt like I wanted to hug him from behind and roll around with him on the floor. I was overwhelmed with a feeling of gratitude, one that could not be conveyed by thousands or even tens of thousands of words. That we're alive right now is all thanks to them. Uni and Yomogi.
And the bloody Lin, who was sleeping like a baby.
I guess we were sleeping for longer. I gently embraced Uni's body and laid him down on the bottom bunk. I placed several blankets on top of him, and then a few more for good measure. Uni tossed a bit in his sleep as he mumbled something. I quietly removed his glasses. Now then. Holding Uni's glasses in my hand, I wander aimlessly around the cabin. The emotions welling up inside me, seeking an outlet, are driving me to walk around in circles. This is a passionate feeling of gratitude, and I need to convey it to someone somehow. But who? Well, of course, Yomogi-san. What the fuck is going on? With an almost indecent cry, I jumped into Yomogi's back without warning.
Bruh!
What? What? Our limbs entangling, we tumbled around the floor. What? Yomogi-san, Yomogi-san.
Hey, come on, what's going into you? Stop it, Fuyukawa, stop, please, come on, stop.
I won't stop, I won't stop.
Just what are you trying to do? What got into you? What is the meaning of this?
There's no meaning, I'm just expressing my feelings.
Expressing your feelings?
Hey
now, don't be so hasty, Fuyukawa. We're not in that kind of relationship yet, you know? Even tough guys like me can't take this kind of wear and tear.
Oh, cut it out.
Roll.
Roll, 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 roll. Hug, 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 hug. My expression of my feelings continued for a while afterwards. What? Is this meant to be like a loading screen or something? Blackness. Alright, falling into autism. Well, I'm gonna stop playing for now because I've been playing for about 2.5 hours. I don't know how long. This game's getting very interesting, but I'm gonna take a break. One thing I want to mention is this is just a random thought, but I think Uni is the guy who pushed Satoru off the top of the building. And the reason I'm saying that is for several reasons. One of them is a theory, so it has evidence. The other two are just guesses. The theory is when Satoru was saying he couldn't see the guy's face properly, I was like, okay, yeah, the sandstorm's blocking your sight, but you can tell there's someone there, meaning you should be able to see who he is or who she is a little bit. But when we found Uni, when Cocoro was in Satoru's body and we found Uni, Uni was like in this kind of overcoat that was covering his face. So what if he was wearing that when he was on that building? You wouldn't really be able to see his face, even in the sandstorm, most definitely. Sorry, snowstorm. Most definitely you wouldn't be able to see his face. Another thing that I thought was, and this is just a guess. This is just why he was on there or how he got on there, and it's sort of connected to the third thing. But Uni is definitely more clever than a normal 11-year-old. So he probably knows how to get up there more than nearly anyone compared to how smart he is. And that goes with the third thing. I think Uni is some kind of godly being. And he was probably on that building and he pushed Satoru off. So whatever happens between Cocoro and Satoru happens. I think he's the cause of this. I think he's the one who's making them shift bodies because he's making them go into dramatic events, which cause them to black out and switch consciousness. Because he is in both realities. No one else is in both realities, only Uni. So far, as far as I know. So I'm thinking Uni is the cause of this, but it's just a guess. Otherwise, I'm going to leave this here, so I'll be right back. See you guys later.